Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take, episode 132. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host. He's helping Blizzard destroy their evidence, Montrell Rice.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing, man?
All right.
How about Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, man? The lawsuit that happened between them and California, or that California put up against them, has been amended to include a section stating that Activision Blizzard actively destroyed evidence during their investigation. And yeah, that is now part of the lawsuit. So
Yeah, it's funny. I actually had that bookmark, and I was going to send it to you, but I got so busy during the week that I forgot to.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. Oh, wait, another news about the same Activision Blizzard. If you go and watch Call of Duty's Vanguard trailers,
mhm.
Activision is nowhere mentioned in the trailers.
Re- Wait, does it just say Sledgehammer?
Yeah.
Are you serious,
No,
dude?
dead serious.
For real?
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. What the?
The trailer they showed at the Gamescom award or the Gamescom's show.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, "Did you notice that there wasn't any Activision? All I said was Sledgehammer games." I went back and watched it, and that was true.
Yeah.
And apparently, this is a thing. I didn't go back and watch all their trailers, but the trailers that have been released so far, from what I've been reading, have a lack of Activision logos on it. It has Sledgehammer on it, though.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting, man. That's really interesting. I mean, I guess it's not surprising. Their name is kind of, bad PR right now, so they don't want to injure Call of Duty with that. But I mean, everybody knows who makes Call of Duty, though. It's like, come on, man, it's ridiculous.
Well, maybe those new gamers out there. I mean, I don't know how new you can get, but yeah.
Well, destroying evidence, definitely not a good idea when you're being actively investigated. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. But, here we are. So, if anything big comes out of that, though, we will, of course, update you guys. The other thing, Montreal, this happened today in this one. So Fortnite's doing an event where they're doing a what are they calling it? Like a museum for Martin Luther King Jr. in game. And they're playing like video clips of the I Have a Dream speech and I think other speeches as well that he did. And man, it's kind of a nightmare if I'm being honest. Everything I've seen of it is big oof.
Yeah, everyone's just looking at it and we don't know what to take from it. Like everybody I'm talking to, black, white, whatever. We just DJ made a good point. Yeah, DJ made a good point. Like we had cartoons at MLK back in the day, so this is a way for the youth to know who MLK is today. I mean, that's a good point. Like I couldn't really refute it. It sounded stupid because he was like, "Well, you're older, that's why it sounds stupid to you." But kids, all they know is Fortnite. So
yeah, well,
it makes sense on paper. It makes sense. It's just some things on paper do not translate well into real life.
Right. Practical terms.
Yeah, they're not practical. And this is one of them. Okay, if you're gonna have Fortnite players visit the the estate, like I think that's what they call it, the MLK estate.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have them visit the MLK estate, a virtual version of it, please disable the dancing. Why are people
the skins,
dancing?
dude? Disable the skins too. The dancing, the skins, the whole thing. Dude, that's where I come in on this, and I'm just like, I don't like. We discussed this a little briefly before we got on the show. Like the idea, in theory, is good. Fortnite has a very wide audience, like wide kids, adults, a lot of people. Right? There's a lot of people that could benefit from this kind of thing in that game, but the execution here is just really bad because games are interactive. Like DJ's comparison to television shows when we were kids is apt up to a point because unfortunately you have full control within a video game of what you do and other people are the same way. So that wasn't true with television shows. Whatever was on the screen was on the screen. There was no way to change it or interact with it or transform it in any way. And with Fortnite, that's not the case. It's like you said, you can dance, you can wear whatever dumb skin you want, you can do whatever you want, like in that whatever they allow you to do. So there's all these clips, dude. These clips coming out of this, and it's just like really not a good look, really. Like there's a portion of it too where it shows I think it was like two sinks or something like that, and it was like it had like black and then white on it, like signage, like, you know, denoting like segregation. And it was like there was like a dude with like a Rick and Morty costume on, you know. It's like, what the fuck are we doing, dude? You know, it's like what like who thought this was a good idea? You know. So yeah,
it had to be someone in the. This either had to be, and I understand. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna fucking say it. I understand that a lot of people don't like forced diversity, right? But this is what happens when you don't have black people in the meeting rooms with you doing this shit. I feel like this was like either a bunch of like executives or just like a bunch of like white people who just don't understand what's going on, and they're just like, yeah, this is it. Like Time Magazine came to us with this idea. Some things you should just turn down, and I think this would have been, if you're gonna do it right, yeah, disable the skins and disable the dancing. Like have it be a purely like walking simulator.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it's not offensive. It's just cringe. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not offensive to me. It's cringe.
Yeah. Well,
and
I actually heard that this is not that what you said here is not the case. There actually are black people involved in this, in the making of this.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if that's 100% confirmed, but I did hear, you know, influencers with like actual audiences saying that there were black folks involved in this. So which is good, but the result was bad. You know, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be too hypercritical here. I think though, this is a lesson.
The heart was in a good place.
Yes.
Their heart was in the good place.
Yes. Right.
I just, yeah, like you said, like I don't want to be super critical of it. It's just, it just reeks of like lack of awareness, and black people can have lack of awareness as well. And I just think it's a big yikes for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just to me, it's a learning moment. Sometimes these things need to be put in the oven a little bit longer, and maybe you need to get some more eyes on it and more opinions on it before you send it out there. You know, because it feels really common sense to me that you would disable skins and dancing, but that didn't happen. So, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, the damage is done. I mean, it's out there, like it's out, and people have done what they've done with it today, and you know, here we are. So. Yeah, so that was a fun little story. That one was, I mean, it's like funny, but it's not, you know, at the same time. It's like
I guarantee you someone in the room was like, so MLK skin?
Oh my,
I guarantee fucking to you.
Bro.
I guarantee fucking to you.
We are so lucky they didn't do that. Holy fuck, dude. Because yeah, you guys were there was some people making jokes. I saw some people on Twitter making jokes about it, and like, you know, and I'm like, dude, the things people would do with that skin, I don't even want to think about, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It could be used in so many horrible fucking ways, you know? And yeah, so I'm glad at least it didn't go that far, you know? Man. So, but all right, Montrell, how are you doing this week, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, I just been really busy. Like, this is my second week, or shit, this might be my first week. No, it's my second week. It's my second week, and yeah, I just been like,
shit, dude.
Yeah, it's the second week of my new job. I absolutely love it. I'm busy all the fucking time. So back to doing what I normally do and more, actually.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm not depressed as much as
Yeah.
I just gotta get used to the drive. It's an hour drive for me
Mm-hmm.
without tollways. I try to take the toll, but for some fucking reason, at 5 o'clock, taking the 183 toll is $16 fucking. It's fucking ridiculous. It's
Oof.
yeah, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. On
What?
Fridays, it's $16. Like during the middle of the week, it's like maybe $8, and I'm like, all right.
Wow,
So I
dude.
did it for a week, and I spent over $100. I didn't even know it because I have my auto tag on refill on automatic refill.
Yeah.
Um,
Holy shit, dude. That's crazy.
yeah, so I've just been taking the highways, or just dealing with traffic. Traffic's not that bad. I don't really mind it because I'm like listening to podcasts and shit like that, so it's cool. But besides
Yeah.
that, like I've been okay.
Fair enough, man. Yeah. Well, everything's good with me too. Just plugging away, Moving along. I need
Please,
to.
please get vaccinated, everybody. I know COVID's still going on, but I'm just going to scream it to the rooftops. Get vaccinated, please.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. One thing about that. So my wife's a school teacher, and her school district sent out a notice today
Oh no.
saying that they actually had to close 2 classrooms in one school because there were too many. They were becoming COVID clusters, is the term they used, and they are already approaching their all-time high of cases from last year. It within 2 weeks of starting school. So, um, yeah, take it seriously. Get vaccinated, and if you're not vaccinated, wear a mask. That's it.
Yeah.
As simple as that. The facts are out there, man. Like they are. So, okay. Anyways, this is not a COVID podcast. This is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you have a question for us, please send it to us via email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com or at theplayerstake on Twitter. And we will love to answer your question on the show. And also, you can send us comments on the show or a correction. Maybe we said something wrong, which we actually did last week. So I'll be getting into that in a second. Anything like that, we will gladly read it on the show. So, Montrell, before we get into the games we're playing, we do have a follow-up / correction on something we were talking about
Yeah, I
last week.
see that. Yeah.
From SK Wiggs 1983. He wanted to correct us on GTA. The protagonists from GTA 3 and Vice City are actually different, Claude and Tommy, respectively, and that the protagonist from 3 made a cameo in Vice City, and his name is revealed there. So
Gotcha.
we were saying that they were the same protagonist between both games.
Yeah, I think that's
that is
where I got
incorrect.
mixed up at.
So
All right.
thank you for the correction, SK Wiggs. All right, Montreal, let's move in to what we've been playing. Would you like to go first this week?
Yeah, I just been playing League of Legends. I actually haven't been playing. I've been taking a break from it in Apex because I've just been getting super mad at those games. So
Yeah.
I have been playing them though, but I've just been getting really upset with them because I know especially at Apex, I know I'm better than what I'm playing, and I just have no idea what the fuck is going on. Last week was but probably earlier this week was probably the worst I performed in Apex since I started playing it.
Yeah.
And League of Legends actually. Like I've been on like a 6 game losing streak, and it's been terrible. So I just went back to playing norms to see what I'm doing wrong and stuff like that. But I have been playing like Ghost of Tsushima, and that game's oddly therapeutic.
Oh
Yeah. It's the Legendary Edition, which is only $30. So if you have the game physically, just put your disc in, and then it'll actually ask you, like, if you go to the market, it'll detect the disc or something like that. I forgot how I did it, but it actually detects the disc, and it's like, hey, since you have the disc in, it's $30 now. So I did upgrade to the Legendary Edition of Ghost of Tsushima. I didn't really notice a big boost, but I'm pretty sure if I go back and put it on my PS5, I would notice it. But since I've been playing on the PS5 for the last year, almost a year now, the graphics really didn't like wow me as much as they did the first time I saw Ghost of Tsushima. So,
well, what you can do is you can actually download the PS4 version as a separate game.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And boot it
Yeah.
up real quick and see the difference. Because I remember I did that with Neo 2. I was
Hmm.
playing the PS4 version, and then I downloaded and booted up the PS5 version, and I was like, "What the fuck? This game looks completely different," you know. So it would be a good test. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I did notice a couple of things. Obviously, the first thing is it's running at 60 frames per second. But I don't know if you noticed it, but on the first game, I noticed there was a lack of like animals running around. Especially
Yeah,
like deer, right? I only saw like for me on my playthrough, I swear to God, I only saw like one deer the entire time. Because
it
I
was
remember
very
looking at the
occasional, very
yeah,
occasional.
because I remember looking at the loading screen. They're like, oh, deer are sacred in Japan. That's why you shouldn't hunt them, on the loading screen or whatever. But now with the upgrade, I see herds of deer like everywhere, and I'm like,
Huh,
wow, they're like really everywhere.
that's
In the
cool.
game. So yeah,
Bears
and
was the one
like
I remember the most. I remember seeing bears all the time, and they would fucking fight me.
it's funny. I haven't really ran into any bears like that. I only ran to one bear so far. Um, that is funny. I'm playing the new game plus. What's the hardest mode in there? Is it
Lethal.
Legacy? Lethal Plus. So I'm playing Lethal Plus. It literally
Ooh.
takes 2 hits for you to die. It's fucking
Mm.
ridiculous.
Yeah, but
Sometimes
is
it's
it
one.
fun though?
I mean, it's the same as the Lethal. I beat the game on Lethal before. I think
Oh,
it's the
you did?
same.
Okay. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't remember
yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah. I beat the game on Lethal already, so I'm playing Lethal Plus. Um, and yeah, like I think it's fun. I mean, it's sometimes frustrating. Only thing that gets really frustrating is the arrow, the archers. Like sometimes they can shoot off screen, or they will shoot off screen, and yeah, it gets very frustrating sometimes when there's like two or three of them. So I have to really be aware of my spatial surroundings before I actually like engage on other enemies, because they can take you out really quick. Besides that, I think the graphics look really good. The load times are, if you thought they weren't fast before, man, I I I travel. I'm so used to like, I don't know, when you instant travel somewhere and it takes like maybe 30 seconds, maybe like 30 seconds. This game's like instant. As soon as you press the button, you're already there. It's fucking crazy. I know it did that on the PS4 version, but goddamn, it's like nothing on the PS5. It's crazy how
It's like
fast it is.
loading before you even click the button.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, bro. That's exactly what it feels like. Um, uh, Between cutscenes, the transition is like seamless. Um, yeah, I mean the gameplay's just as well as you expect it from the last game. I haven't encountered any glitches or anything like that. Um, the DLC is at the end of the game. So I didn't play it, even though I had the new game. Plus, I decided I wanted to play through the whole game. I'm going to get the platinum, and I'm going to play the DLC at the end of the game after I get my platinum, which is because it's not a hard platinum to get. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but I'm enjoying it. It's super therapeutic. That's why I was been playing it when y'all in Discord, because I'm like, I can't do multiplayer games right now. So I did download. I don't mean to ramble on, but I did download what you call it, because I forgot I got my new build for my PC, and I downloaded Fantasy Star Online too, because I tried to play it on the
Mm,
Xbox One and it looks fucking terrible.
yeah.
Um, so I'm about to play it since it's one of those Xbox uh anywhere games. I can download it on the PC too,
Yeah.
without having to go through Sega site and getting an account on there and all that shit like that. So yeah, I'm gonna try to boot it up and play it and stuff like that and see what it looks like and everything. But that's pretty much it for me.
All right, fair enough. I've been playing Apex. Not much to say about that. So yeah, I have a journey I've been on this week with Ion, and then we'll get into the rest. So I was playing Ion this week. I had a couple really bad days late last week, and then I had a really good day on Sunday, and then I had a really bad day on Monday with the game. Um, and I don't need to get into details, but eventually this led me to uninstall the game Monday night, and or maybe it was Tuesday night. I think it was Tuesday. I don't remember, but I uninstalled the game early this week, and I'm done with it. I don't. It's such a it's really annoying because I like the game a lot, but The game's community is just so fucking toxic, man. Like they're just so mean about everything, dude. They're mean, sarcastic, snarky ass motherfuckers. Like nobody helps people just to help people. Like they're always getting something out of it, or like they're talking shit about the faction or people they play with or whatever, dude. And it just got on my nerves to the point that I'm just like, you know what? I'm fucking done. I can't do this anymore. So I gave up. Gave up the game, uninstalled it, which led to Tuesday night. Led to me downloading World of Warcraft Burning Crusade Classic. Yes, Montrell, give me shit. Call me a hypocrite. Kill me.
I'm not. I'm not.
I mean, I know
understand.
you're not.
Everybody forgot. I think everyone forgot about the case lawsuits and all that stuff. So.
I mean, I already said my piece last week. I'm not gonna boycott Diablo either. Like, I'd rather just be vocal about my feelings on Activision. But it. I don't know. I was like, look, I've been putting this off, I think, for a few months because I love Burning Crusade. It's my favorite WoW expansion, and this was probably inevitable if I'm being honest with myself. Like, I love BC, man. It's so fun. It's such a fun expansion for me. I love the content. I love the style of it and everything like that. So, so yeah, I downloaded it and dude, the part about it that's funny for me though is that I downloaded it and then I booted it up and then I said in the Discord, like, all right, guys, I've joined the dark side. And you all of you were just like, ugh, Justin, really? Oh my God, you fucking loser. You guys were like fucking assholes. And then literally within 15 minutes of me booting the game up, all of you are like, you know what, man, I'm going to download the game too. I was dying, dude. I was literally dying laughing internally because, yeah. Especially Jet, because Jet had like one of the most disgusted, just like, oh God, Justin, what are you doing? And then immediately is like, oh man, Justin, what are you doing, man? You're gonna get me to play it. And then he downloads it, and dude, he's playing it harder than I am already. Like he was playing last night, and he's literally chomping at the bit to like log in and fucking play right now. So, hey, we're playing World of Warcraft. It's good. Like me, him, and Andy were playing yesterday and leveling together, which was pretty fun. I'm looking forward to doing that. We are gonna try to raid. I'm not sure how this is gonna go because I mean, I'm an adult now. We're all adults. We have shit to do. I don't necessarily think I can commit to a hardcore raiding guild. So we'll see how that goes. But I do want to play regardless. So I will be playing that. And the other game is Hades, which I actually have been playing a lot since I let Ion go, to the point that I actually completed my first escape from Hades in the game. And this game fucking rules, dude. Straight up. Montreal, like, I highly recommend this game. Like, if you want something to play that is like easy to pick up, I guess this is probably a good game for you to try because it's just fun to play, man. Like, it's a great action game. It plays excellent. Like, it has really tight controls. There's a lot of diversity to it in terms of the weapons you can use, and there's just a lot of progression paths for your character too, which is really cool. It's just a fun game, dude. I'm really having fun with it. The bosses too are actually really challenging for the most part. At least the last two that you usually fight are definitely very challenging. And when I finally beat the final boss, dude, I felt so relieved. It was like my fourth try that I actually got to him and beat him. I had the first time I fought him. Every time I fought him, actually, I beat him like once, but he has this like bullshit fucking mechanic where he comes back to life, so you have to fight him twice, back to back, dude. Yeah, that shit is hard as fuck, man. It's really hard. It's a tough fight, but very fun, very satisfying. So anybody looking for an isometric action game that plays like an ARPG but doesn't have the itemization of an ARPG, but you still want some kind of progression, then this is the game, man. This game is fucking excellent. And in terms of the story, it's actually pretty cool. It's very subtle game. There's not a lot of like story cutscenes per se, but there is a lot of dialogue between runs that happens, and you get little snippets of people saying things and talking and giving you little bits of lore and some kind of progression happening within the game world too, which is pretty well done in my opinion. So, highly recommend that game too. All right, Montrell, let's move on to the news. The big story this week is Halo, Halo Infinite. So the first thing we got was we found out that Halo Infinite is not going to have co-op or Forge at launch, which that's a big deal. I mean, Forge is the creation tool within Halo. It's been there since Halo 3, I think. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
And then co-op, I mean, of course, wasn't even there in Halo 5, if I remember correctly. And but co-op has been a huge thing in Halo's legacy. Like, it's a huge part of Halo. People fucking love co-op Halo. I do too. I'm one of those people too, and I'm not even a big Halo person. But after that, we ended up finding out the release date leaked, and then Microsoft confirmed it at Gamescom that it is coming on December 8th this year. So, I mean, Montreal, how are you feeling about this at this point? Are you confident in the game?
I mean, I read up on the game. It was from a source that that you sent to me in our chat or whatever. I'm excited for the multiplayer portion of the game, like super excited for that. I think a lot of people are super excited for that. Single player, I mean, honestly, I haven't really been into Halo story since 3. I did partake in it in 4, and didn't really like it too much. I mean, it was cool to see the Forerunners or whatever, but I really didn't like it too much. And then 5, like, it was just a cluster. 5 was just bad. I didn't like 5 story. From the expectation they set up from the marketing team all the way to actually playing the game, it was just not good. But 4 was I think 4 was the worst out of the Halo games because not only was the multiplayer not good, but the single player wasn't good as well. I meant to say that in the other way around. Not only was the single player bad, but the multiplayer was bad as well. But in 5, I think they perfected what Halo is as far as like fast paced. I think they made I think Halo 5 is probably the best Halo multiplayer since like Halo 2. And I know that's a super controversial statement amongst the Halo community, but yes, it's even better than fucking garbage ass Reach's multiplayer. Don't even get me started on Reach. But I love Reach's single player though. But I am super excited for it. I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do with the story, but it does suck that it's not going to be any co-op. But from what I was reading, it kind of makes sense, but then it doesn't. So I don't know how to feel about that, So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the lack of co-op definitely sucks. That hurts my like desire to play it because I wanted to play it with somebody, at launch. And Forge, I don't personally care about, but there is a segment of the Halo community that is really upset about this.
No, they have every right to be. They have every right.
Yeah, and I mean it's a big part of Halo. From what I understand, like, dude, Forge is the reason that most of these games have longevity at this point. Is similar to like Warcraft 3 and StarCraft back in the day. Like, custom games are what kept the game alive. People kept making new things, so it's the similar thing here. So that sucks, but. What about the release date, dude? December 8th. That seems as late as they can push it while keeping it in this year. Do you think it's going to make it?
From what I've read, yes. I don't think they can afford another delay.
Yeah.
Well, I say that, but realistically, they can't. They can't afford another delay. Yeah. Honestly, I think if the community pushes back hard enough, I wouldn't mind them saying, "Hey, we're going to do the free." Because the multiplayer is supposed to be free to play, we're going to release the multiplayer on the 8th, and then release the single player later on down the line. I can probably see that happening, and I could probably see that the executives being like, okay, well, we're getting money off the multiplayer in the first place, so we're probably going to make our revenue back anyway because that game's going to be released on PC and Xbox. So,
right.
I mean, they're going to make their money back anyway.
Yeah.
But I can probably see the single player getting delayed if they make that compromise. Now I don't think people would be um I don't think people would be mad about that, especially like if it comes with Forge. If they're like, "Yo, okay, we're gonna delay it, but we're definitely gonna have Forge." I think Forge is the biggest one because I completely forgot to mention Forge. But yeah, Forge is like one of the biggest ones. It was super powerful in 5, the Forge tool. Like I don't even like level creators and stuff like that, but that it was already powerful in like 3. I didn't really play with it in 4, but in 5, it was like crazy powerful, and in Reach it was crazy powerful. But yeah, 5 like up the ante as far as like you damn near were a fucking a developer at that point. The amount of
Mm-hmm.
shit you can do and
Yeah.
how easy it was, how intuitive they made it to use. So, uh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the multiplayer is guaranteed to come out on December 8th.
Yeah,
I think there's a 0% chance that gets delayed. I do think there's a chance the single player gets delayed, and they can definitely justify it by saying like, yeah, we're gonna delay the campaign, but it will come with co-op now with at launch because of this delay.
yeah,
I think they could do that. I've also, I mean, I heard I saw some articles saying that development is going very poorly for this game, and it has the whole time. Because I think a developer actually that's what it was. Yeah, there was a developer who spoke out publicly, but anonymously, and said that development is like kind of not going well, but the game is still shaping up to be great. But multiplayer is going to be ready.
yeah,
They think single player is going to be really tight, and then they said Forge is like not even close. Like there's like a 0% chance we get it even within 6 months of the game coming out. So given that, I think I don't know. It's weird. I don't understand what happened with this game because yeah, you remember when the director left? I think it was the director, or maybe it was the executive producer or something like
no,
that.
I want to say it was a game director.
Yeah, he left, and then a new guy came in. And remember, we speculated at the time, or talked about at least, how much of an impact is this going to have? Is he going to completely change the direction of the game? And it sounds like that is what happened. This developer said that the new person that came in basically threw out most of the campaign and was like, "Look, we can't do this. We need to do this, this, and this, and this, and this." And they've been like really, really pushing hard to remake the campaign. Using some of the existing assets, of course, but they're restructuring it, I guess is what I mean. So yeah, I don't know, man. This game's interesting. I have a feeling multiplayer is going to be really fun and really great, but the rest of the game, I don't know. I don't know where we're gonna get.
Yeah, I feel
So
like Halo 5, the reason why, and I feel really bad for like Halo 5 because I feel like the multiplayer just got unfair justice. I will stand on this hill till I die, and that's all because of the single player. Everyone wanted the co-op, and that's an understandable thing to have in the
hmm
game. Um, and they didn't do co-op or whatever.
yeah.
And a lot of people. Plus, with this also came out like a year or two. I think I want to say a year or two after the whole reveal of the Xbox One, so that still had a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. And Halo 5 just didn't get. And then obviously, Master Chief Collection was a fucking disaster upon release as well. So it was just a lot of things that sabotage Halo 5 in the multiplayer team, before it even got a chance to be touched. Um, and I really don't want that to happen to this game because from what I saw, the gameplay footage I saw when everyone's been saying, even like Sony fanboys, it was so bad. I mean, the gameplay of the multiplayer was so good that even like Sony fanboys were like trying to drum up drama because it was they were kind of threatened by it for a minute.
hmm
Um, so I really do want to see the multiplayer succeed. I think they should push that heavily. I think the executives should push the multiplayer back or the single player rather back. I think that's just the best move at this point. Um because that can tarnish Halo's legacy. I mean, a lot of people love the lore of Halo. I'm one of them. And if you just keep fucking with the lore of Halo, then I think that's a big part of the game's identity. I know a lot of people, other people don't, but I do. I think that's a huge part of the game's identity. If you
hmm
fuck up the lore in the single player of Halo,
Right. Right. Well, we'll definitely be paying attention to that game as we get closer to launch. All right, Montreal, this next one, very exciting. So this has been rumored for a while that there's a Mandalorian, Star Wars Mandalorian video game in development. However, today we got leaked gameplay footage from something. We don't know what necessarily, but it was about 4.5 minutes of gameplay, and it was somebody playing through a level. They seemed to be on an Imperial ship of some sort, and there was a lot of fighting with stormtroopers and whatnot. But you were a Mandalorian or the Mandalorian, I don't know. But I mean, I don't know, Montreal. What did you think of this, man? I sent this to you. Did you watch the whole thing? Or what are you thinking of it?
It's super rough. I
Yeah.
think it was and DJ. I put it actually in our other group chat. And DJ made a good point. That's probably just a vertical cut.
Yeah.
So what a vertical cut is, I don't know if you guys know what a vertical cut is. It's just like this is the direction we want to take the game. They drum up something real quick to show and pitch the idea or whatever. And I think that's what this was. It was a vertical cut.
Yeah.
Not even alpha. Like not even alpha.
Yeah.
So I'm actually impressed that they're even considering doing a Mandalorian game, to be honest with you. Now, it also could be fan made. That could be another thing. But just the way everything was set up, it didn't look like a fan made game.
It looks too intricate to be a fan game. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, why are people sitting there watching it? Like,
right.
It just doesn't. It being a fan made game doesn't make any sense. But I do think it's a vertical cut, or at least a really, 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 really rough build on what they want to do with the game. So hopefully we get something like that. I mean, yeah. I mean, Star Wars, what was it, 1313 would have been the game that we actually wanted because but unfortunately that game was canceled. So
yeah, I mean, I think this is real. I definitely think this is real. Now, I also agree with you and DJ though that this whatever game this is nowhere near coming out. Like this is probably 2024, 2025 at best.
Yeah.
Like
At
we're
best.
talking this is an early ass build of this game, like to the point that there isn't a game. It's literally a 5-minute demo, that's playable or something like that. Because it looks super rough. Textures and stuff look pretty good, but the thing is, like, the video was blurry, so there wasn't a lot of detail that we could glean. But gameplay looked kind of rough, movement looked rough, audio sounded weird, like the footsteps were super fucking loud compared to everything else. It was weird.
It looked like someone just drummed up something really quick in the Unreal 5 engine, and they threw a character model in there. They made a quick level. They made a quick start screen because you can do all that in like 5 minutes in Unreal 5 if you know what the fuck you're doing, right? So that's what it looked like to me. It looked like a really rough demo of like, this is the direction we want to take it. And yeah, you're right. Everything was like super loud. Audio was barely noticeable. I mean, it was, yeah.
Yeah. But I would play this game if it comes out. So I find that exciting, to be honest. Like, I think it's a good space to explore too, and it gets us out of the realm of Jedi in the video game space. Like we don't always have to be playing fucking Jedi in Star Wars games, Like, and I mean, there's plenty of Star Wars games where you don't, but more recently, I feel like that hasn't necessarily been the case, unless you're talking like Battlefront, I guess. But I don't count that because the game doesn't really have single player. So I like this. This is good. I hope it's real. If so, though, I don't expect to see it for a long time. I wouldn't expect to see an actual trailer of this for years, probably. So
yeah,
it is interesting though. It does make me wonder who the fuck is making this. Because I don't know. Like, it could be anybody.
Yeah,
There's
that's the thing. Like, it could literally be anybody. I think this was a pitch. I don't think this was like a real, I don't even think it was like a rough sketch of what they're going to do. I think this was like legitimately a pitch.
Yeah.
So
right. Whatever this game is not going to be this probably, like,
yeah,
or
exactly.
even that similar to this, because there wasn't like, it didn't seem like there was any kind of cover system to it really, from what I could tell, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just, it didn't look like refined though in the terms of the movement and everything like that. So, but it was running on an Xbox, so that is something to note. There's a possibility that
That
Microsoft's
could be
throwing
as
some money
exclusive.
around,
Yeah.
and yeah, it might be angling for an exclusive. Now that's
I
totally
I
speculation, but
I can see that. I can see
yep,
that.
that would be a big get for them for sure, and it would fit their brand too.
Yeah, and this wouldn't be the first time a licensed game is exclusive.
Exclusive Spider-Man, right?
Spider-Man. Yep.
Yep,
I was just about
yep,
to say, yep. Spider-Man.
exactly.
And we saw how good that turned out. So, I
Yeah,
mean, this is all pure speculation.
but if the shoe fits.
I can't stand you.
Yes, I like to wildly speculate. I'm sorry. All right, let's move on before we get into dangerous territory. Okay. Something we don't need to speculate about anymore. Horizon Forbidden West confirmed that it has been delayed to February 18th, 2022. This was leaked a little while ago, but was never actually confirmed by Sony. But during Gamescom, they also confirmed, they finally confirmed this, February 18th, 2022, which is, I believe, the 5-year or close to the 5-year or 4-year anniversary. No, it will be 5 years. The 5-year anniversary of the first game. So that's actually pretty cool. I think that makes sense. It gives them the time to make the game as good as they can make it. So, Montrell, are you looking forward to this game now that we have a firm date?
Yeah, actually I am. It looks way more like we already talked about, the gameplay of Forbidden West or Horizon, the first one. Which I'm actually going to try to revisit since it's on PC. Maybe I'll like it better on PC. I don't know. But yeah, I'm actually looking really forward to this game. It looks super fun. It looks super dope. It looks like you're gonna have a lot more moves at your disposal, and it's not. It looks like they're kind of getting rid of the RPG elements of the first game, and they're just going pure action, which I
Yeah.
kind of like.
I mean, the
My
RPG
only
elements were barely there anyways. Just get rid of
exactly,
them. They didn't
yep,
add anything.
exactly. I 100% agree. I am. I do have a beef with the date, because there are like already 3 games coming out on fucking
Yeah.
February.
Yeah.
So we got Sifu,
Yep.
Sifu, which is like
Yep.
a martial arts beat 'em up game. I've been looking forward to this game since fucking forever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's coming out on the 22nd, and then Destiny, the expansion, was announced on the 22nd. And my fucking group chat, my other group chat, just in DJ in particular, I know you're listening right now. This motherfucker's been playing Destiny for the last 3 months and did not tell me. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? I could have been playing
Oh
with you.
shit.
So he's telling me that he's going to get it because we actually love the lore of Destiny. I don't play it that much, but I still keep up on the lore. And this is like a really lore. The last expansion that's coming out, or next expansion, is a really lore heavy expansion. So I'm probably going to get it and play it since he's going to be playing it. I have a partner to play with, and I can light grind. But yeah, I already have beef with that, and I'm pretty sure there are going to be more games that I did not mention that are coming out on the fucking
I think there is, man.
February. That's going to be a hot month.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to look right now because I've heard people are already complaining that February 2022 has too many games.
Yeah.
And let me see what we got. We got Horizon, Destiny 2, The Witch Queen, Sifu, Saints Row. A new
Oh
Saints Row
yeah.
is coming
Yep.
out. King of Fighters 15. Whatever. Vampire the Masquerade though. Swan Song. That interesting. That's a highly anticipated one too. So we'll see what else gets announced for it. But that's it so far. It's not that bad. I mean, get over it, guys. It's really not that bad.
Oh,
You ain't
shut up.
you
You
ain't playing
complained
all
like a
this.
year or two about that shit too. I think it was about a year or two ago you were complaining about that shit when like a whole bunch of games dropped in like succession,
Yeah,
week
man.
after
But
week after week.
yeah, I guess. I mean, if you plan on playing all these, it's gonna suck. Yeah, but I don't believe that Horizon Forbidden West has much crossover with like Sifu. Like I you know, like I don't.
Hey man, for me it is that I've been looking forward to Sifu for a while. So
I understand, but how big of a game is Sifu like realistically gonna be? Like,
it's probably gonna be like 8 hours, 8
no,
to 10
I'm talking
hours.
like how like popular is it really gonna be?
Oh,
Like
I don't know. A lot of people have been looking forward to the game. Like every time they post something, it gets like 10,000 likes. It's crazy.
I mean, it is getting a lot of press. It has been getting a lot of press for sure lately. So, I mean, but still, it's not gonna shine a candle to Destiny, like, or even Horizon.
Yeah,
So
that's true. Those are established IPs. So
right.
you're right about that.
So yeah, but hey, look, it's better to have more games than less games, probably. Maybe, probably not. Actually, never mind. Let's just move on. Fucking. All right, more Gamescom news. Firaxis, my favorite company on the planet, has announced a new game called Marvel's Midnight Suns, which is going to be a Marvel XCOM like game, strategy game, and Wolverine's going to be in it. It looks like Iron Man, some other prominent characters. Cap might be in it too, from what it looks like in this promotional trailer. Montrell, I know we've both like lamented the fact that we never play XCOM games, and we probably should because we know we would love them. Does this appeal to you though, like a Marvel XCOM game?
No, I thought it was gonna be another top-down like Marvel. What was it called? Marvel Legends or something like that.
Ultimate Alliance.
Ultimate Alliance, because that's what I want. I want like a modern version of that.
Mm.
I think they remastered them. I'm not sure though. But that's what I kind of wanted. I know they they did Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch like a year or two ago.
Yep.
And I didn't get a chance to play it because I didn't find anybody to play it with. But that's kind of what I was looking forward to. I don't know. I'm just really looking for a Marvel game to wow me, and so far there hasn't been an ensemble Marvel game to wow me. If anything, XCOM. Honestly, if anything, XCOM, I'm going to play the Gears of War XCOM game.
I see. Yeah, Gears Tactics.
Yeah.
Well, so all right. I'm just gonna pull out like my full-on nerdy side here for a second. So this game, anybody that's played tabletop like a long time ago, probably, well, even now, still kind of relevant.
Tabletop's extremely popular now. So
yeah, there's a Marvel tabletop game called HeroClix. It's made by WizKids, and that has existed for over 15 years, and it is like a highly successful board game IP. You should look it up because basically that's what this game reminds me of. It's basically that in a video game, and I'm surprised somebody hasn't done that sooner, because it just makes so much sense. Like the idea of like a superhero battles like in a tactical turn-based format is fucking awesome, dude. Like it sounds really cool to me. Like all these powers interacting, and you have to like strategically place these heroes in ways that they can be the most effective against villains that have insane superpowers and shit. Like it just sounds really cool. So I mean, I'm always reticent to commit myself to any game, but this I actually might play this depending on how it looks. There's going to be a gameplay reveal in September, I think next week actually. So I'm probably going to check that out and see how that looks. But it is planning to come out in March 2022. So yeah, I mean, we already know February, March, April is going to be a real crowded period. Okay, so complain away. All right, you're not going to play all the games. You're not going to be able to play all the other games that come out. But this looks cool. I mean, it's a good idea. So I don't know. I'm hoping it's good, but I don't really trust Firaxis as far as I can throw them. So whatever. We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it, kind of thing. All right, Montrell. We got a couple stories that we didn't cover last week that I want to discuss real quick. One is a game that was revealed like a week or two ago, and it's called Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. And this is literally a Super Smash Bros. Ripoff of Nickelodeon characters. And this game looks pretty fucking fun, dude. I'm not gonna lie, man. This is a fucking excellent idea, and I do not understand why more companies aren't just straight up copying Nintendo with their own IPs. Like, just make your own Smash Bros. Game with your characters, straight up. Just do it. They'll all be good. Like, they can all be good. You know?
Well. I mean, remember what PlayStation did?
Yeah, they didn't copy Smash Bros. Though. They fucking made their own weird ass bullshit rule set that fucking suck. Like,
that's true.
I'm just saying copy the actual Smash Bros formula, like the percentages and all that shit and the way the stages are designed. Like, copy that and you will probably be able to make a good game, you know?
Yeah. And what's funny about this game is the company that's doing it was an indie studio or sort of like a middleware studio. And they made a game on Steam called, I think, Slap Fighters or Slap something, which pretty much is a fucking Smash Brothers clone. But like the community loves the game because like they get tons of feedback from the community and they actually improve upon the game. They took a lot of stuff straight from Melee as far as like the way the combat system works. And a lot of people were expecting this game's going to play a lot like Melee instead of like current Smash. So a lot of people are actually looking forward to this game because the creators know Smash and they know what competitive Smash is and everything of that nature. And the creators said they wanted to cater to both. But obviously Smash can cater to both. It's one of those games that even if you make it for competitive people, like you can just play it like non-competitively and still have fucking fun. So I'm actually looking forward to the game because I love Nickelodeon characters.
Me too.
And I think this is enjoyable for everybody. Like everyone in our age group grew up with Nickelodeon, so this is Nintendo but for cartoons, if that makes any sense.
Dude, this looks fucking fantastic. I'm watching this trailer right now for Cat Dog. They just announced Cat Dog today as one of the characters, and fuck yeah, dude. And Cat Dog is like fighting like Nigel Thornberry, and I'm like, yes, dude, fucking yes,
smashing.
Dude. And he's like, they're like fighting on like the like what looks like a Rocco's Modern Life stage or something like that, and fucking like, bro, like there's like a SpongeBob stage. SpongeBob and Patrick are in the game. I mean, dude. This is awesome. This is such a good idea, and I'm so fucking happy this is happening. It actually looks like pretty good. Like Cat Dog's just doing these dumb attacks where he like jumps in the air and stretches both sides out and fucking hits people. It looks like Smash Brothers, you know? Like it really does. And I'm kind of excited about this. It's coming out fall this year is what they've announced is the window. So we'll see. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm gonna buy this, and I'll probably won't play it very long unless we get really into it or something. But I don't know. It's a good idea. I think this is a great thing. Nickelodeon has tons of great character designs as well to pull from all sorts of time periods. Specifically the 90s for me and you probably, but even going into the 2000s though, they still had a lot of great characters and cartoons. So.
And I think at one point they owned like the license for Power Rangers, so they can like buy off of that and put Power Rangers in there too. Obviously, they got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in there and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's tons of characters like you said they can pull from. It's so many that I can't even think of some. Oh, I want to see Rocket Power. I don't know if you guys know what that
Rocket
is.
Power, yep, definitely. Yeah. Dude, Hey Arnold, I feel like, come on, get like Arnold in there. Dude, smacking people with his football head or whatever.
I think Helga's in there. I think Helga's already in the game.
Yes, yeah. Yes. Oh, it's awesome, man. It's fucking it's excellent, man. So, you know, or like get like Invader Zim or something, you know.
Oh, yeah, that would be really fucking
That's
good.
what I'm saying, bro.
I think they have him in there already, but if they don't, he's definitely going to be like the number one downloaded character because everybody loves Invader Zim.
Yep. Yeah, and like watching these, I mean, these stages look like Smash Bros. Stages, like definitely. So yeah, I do see Helga in here. She's in here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in here. So yeah, I mean, and they're pulling from like all time periods. It looks like too. So they aren't just sticking with one, which is good. It's not just new characters. They're bringing in like, I mean, Cat Dog's old, dude. That's an old show.
Yeah.
Hey Arnold's old. Even SpongeBob. I know SpongeBob's still on, so that one I think
that was like a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. But dude, like Angry Beavers.
I was just about to say that the Angry Beavers could be one.
Dude, oh my god, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, there's a lot of like, Mr. Crab fighting like fucking Helga, dude.
Can you imagine like Mr. Crab or what's the guy from the ghost from the ship on SpongeBob? Like, can you imagine him fighting fucking Shredder from?
Oh yeah. Well, dude, also the other thing is like the voice clips, right? The voice lines, the sound effects that the characters make. Dude, this group of IP Nickelodeon stuff is perfect for this just like goofy like sound clips and shit like that, where like Mr. Krabs is, saying some dumb shit over and over and over again and beating you in the fucking head with his claw or something, like
Yep.
it's perfect, man. So I don't know. I think this one's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to this game coming out and just seeing what people do with it. I hope it's good. I really do. So, if we buy it, we'll let you guys know. But all right, Montrell, we've got one more story, and we forgot about this last week. Shame on us. And I know you don't want to talk about this, but it must be discussed. Skyrim is nearing its 10th anniversary. It came out on 11/11/11. Yes, they did that on purpose. They said that, by the way. I remember Todd Howard was like, "Yes, we specifically wanted to hit that release date, just because we wanted to." But 11/11/21 is this year, and they are releasing a new 10-year anniversary edition of Skyrim. This is like the 8th iteration of this game. They're releasing.
This game is 10 years old.
But the part I want to talk about, I don't care about the new version of the game. It's coming on PlayStation. And this is like a new game. This is a new SKU. Like they're reselling this. They're repackaging it and reselling it. And there is a little bit of new content in there too. And they're releasing it on PlayStation, which, I mean, I feel like at this point, you can't sit here and tell me that their strategy with Bethesda isn't confusing. Like, the games are exclusive or they're not, like, what the fuck, man? I feel like at this point they're going to pick and choose what's exclusive. That's what it seems like. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think, man?
I think Skyrim would have been one of those games that it would have made no sense for it to be exclusive. Yeah. It already came out on other games. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of licensing or whatever. Mm-hmm. That still exists, so it can be on other games and stuff like that. So it just makes sense for them to do it.
Okay, but they did something with Hellblade recently that kind of throws a wrench into that whole point. Where Hellblade came out on PlayStation, and that game, you can buy that game on PlayStation 4. They did a next-gen upgrade for Xbox, and then they didn't do one for PlayStation. People already own the game on PlayStation. Like, how much effort really is it? So they're like making that exclusive, but then not Skyrim.
I think Hellblade they consider. I think it's going to be a case by case basis, but I think Hellblade is one of those things where people they think it's a console seller, so people will buy an Xbox for that game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, like just because I didn't play
not a console seller. I guess you can buy it on other consoles.
You can, you can literally buy it on your fucking Apple Watch. I mean, your fucking Echo Dot or whatever the fuck it's called. You can buy it on fucking.
You can tell Alexa what to do. Alexa, move 10 feet forward and shoot an arrow.
I believe you can actually. I want to say you can buy it on like Alexa or some shit like that. I believe they already have it on that shit. Anyway,
you play it with like a Fire TV remote.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not joking. I think you can. I remember seeing something stupid like that, unless it was a joke. Yeah. I joked on Twitter saying I'm gonna buy it again. I might actually buy it again. I'm probably not. I'm not gonna buy that shit. I have that shit on Steam and I have it modded to death on Steam. So I'm not gonna buy that shit.
Yeah, don't do it, man. It's not worth it.
I have it modded to where it's Star Wars. Everything is just Star Wars. The entire mod is Star Wars.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
Starfield before Starfield.
Exactly. So, yeah, I'm not buying it, but I mean, kudos to people who are. This is probably the closest you're going to get to Skyrim or I'm sorry, Elder Scrolls 6. So
Yeah, it'll be
I can't believe
Bethesda's
it's,
best-selling game this year.
I can't believe that game's 10 years old and we haven't got an Elder Scrolls 6 yet. That's insane to me. That's one of the most insane things I've ever seen out of a franchise. Like that's
I mean,
insane.
they I think I mean, to be fair, Bethesda's development studio is one team. They don't have multiple teams. So they don't work on multiple games. And there was a point in the mid PS3 generation where they bought the Fallout IP. And then it became them swapping between Fallout and Elder Scrolls. Whereas before that, they were just making Elder Scrolls games. That's all they made. And they were coming out with them pretty consistently every couple of years, every few years, honestly. So that's what happened. And then they decided to make a new game with Starfield, so that threw it off too. So they have like a cycle where it's like Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, but then they threw Starfield in the middle of that. So then it was Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Starfield, Elder Scrolls, then maybe Fallout. I don't know. It's like
Well, it looks
so.
like their strategy is to turn their existing IPs into money makers, and what I mean by that is like they're going to
Mhm,
turn those into like money bags, right? Almost how what Nintendo's doing with Fire Emblem. They know
mhm.
Fire Emblem is an instant money grab. Pokemon's an instant money grab. They can siphon money off of those to fund new projects. I mean, I think that's why we're still getting, as far as Nintendo's case, that's why we're still getting like Monolith Soft and stuff like that because they're allocating that money into other places. And I think that's what ZeniMax, or I'm sorry, Bethesda rather, is doing. They're taking that money and they're allocating it to other places to where they can make their own brand new IP. So like, if we never get an Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout 5, cool. If we get brand new good IPs, I'm all for it. Because yeah, I'm all for like new innovative ideas, if that makes any sense.
Well, they are investing in some of these other teams. Like Arcane's making multiple games. Deathloop's not the only game they're making.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
I forgot about their multiple teams like ID Software and Arcane
right, and
Studios. So.
id's probably grown a bit too.
Hmm.
So they've got good teams for sure. I actually think their Bethesda development studio proper is one of their worst teams, probably that
Yeah.
they have as a publisher. So which is
It's just so
weird,
weird.
but
Yeah, it's just so weird for when you think of ID Software, you do not think of Bethesda because their games are so quality good. Like
hmm
Doom's a
hmm
good ass fucking game. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
Even Arcane Studios, like I completely forgot that they were incorporated with Bethesda because even though I didn't like the Dishonored series, I know that series is like well, like that's a
hmm
good ass game. Like people live and die by Dishonored, and
Yep.
yeah, like I don't know. So uh, it's just really funny when you think of like Doom and Dishonored. You do not think of Bethesda, but those are Bethesda IPs.
Right. Right. But all right, man. Well, that's all we got for the news. Um, you have anything you want to discuss before we go today?
Uh, shit, I did have something I wanted to discuss, but I actually forgot what it was. Have you been like keeping up with the streamer stuff lately?
Some of
This is
it.
gonna be like super off topic,
Oh,
by
you're
the way.
talking about the strike that they're doing, sort of what strike-ish thing they're doing, where they're like they're gonna stop streaming.
Well, yeah, that I forgot all about that shit. Honestly, I
Oh,
wasn't even
okay,
paying attention.
okay.
But
The,
like, well, like the sexual allegation stuff that's been going on, like in the streaming community and in like the YouTube community as well.
I guess I'm not super familiar. What specifically is happening?
Well, I don't really. It sounds like to me what's going on is a lot of these streamers, and I just want to talk about this in general because we're in a video game sphere and like the nerd sphere or whatever. And I really want to just talk about maybe for about a quick 30 minutes, or maybe not even that, maybe like 20 minutes. Um, I think me and both of you, me and you can attest to this because we're both sometimes socially awkward.
hmm
And I wanted to talk about when socially awkward people get jetted into the stratosphere of popularity
Mm,
and they don't pick up on certain social cues that me and you have developed naturally because we're forced to go out into the world and interact with different people and
Mm-hmm.
different genders and everything of that nature. And it leads to a lot of misconceptions. Now, when I say misconceptions, there are clear cases that, women have been sexually assaulted and everything of that nature. But then there
Mm-hmm.
was one case. It was one case where the guy clearly sexually assaulted a woman, and I don't condone that shit at all, and he deserves, the cancellation that he got or whatever. And then there was another case where the guy got accused of sexual assault, but it got so bad that even the accuser, the person who was like trying to out, like the person who was trying to help the person to out that person, apologized, was like, yeah, I didn't have all the information, I apologize, because everything came out and was like, yeah, he wasn't being sexually explicit with her, he was just very fucking awkward.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? uh she kind of led it astray, kind of laid it down this dark path, and then didn't really disclose any information. And then when she was done with it, then it became sexual assault or whatever, or sexual, she was sexually uncomfortable, sexual misconduct or whatever. But yeah, like everyone was like, yeah, now that we have all the information, they're like, this is totally not what it made it seem out to be. So my question is, like, I guess the thing I wanted to discuss is like, um, should like sh- should streamers and like popular YouTubers and everything like that in nerd culture, if you get jetted into popularity and stuff like that, um, I think there should be some kind of class, social class for them to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to deal with not only just women, but whatever your sexuality is or whatever the case may be, for those
Mm-hmm.
like these kind of conversations and stuff like that. Because I feel like, not to excuse like their behavior, but a lot of these guys really don't know how to talk to women, and they really don't understand. Like, yeah, like for instance, right? Say like a girl is texting you, you never really get texts from girls at all, and then you're popular on YouTube, and now girls are texting you stuff like that, but they're like being legitimately friendly. But you never talk to girls like that because you never got the attention before, so you thinking it's something else.
Mm.
And
Or
sometime,
yeah.
and sometime because like guys can pick up on social cues, the women don't really necessarily have to say, hey, stop, or hey, whatever. We can just, like, normal guys who are not sexual predators can pick up on shit like that, like, okay, she's not into this, I'm gonna stop. you know
Mm-hmm.
um where is the earnest on, like, on that? Like, does it lie within the guy, or does it lie within the girl, or society as a whole? Like, I don't know how to, it's such a huge topic, to such a broad topic or whatever, to wrap my head around. Like, I genuinely don't understand, because sometimes I'm like, stop being so socially fucking awkward and whatever. But then I think
Mm-hmm.
about it, I'm like, these guys really didn't have a chance in hell if I thought about it, because they just got thrown into the stratosphere like that.
Right. Yeah. It's a weird one, man, because I don't think there's an easy way to solve this problem, because you can't, no matter, like, say there was a class, and forget about like just for celebrities. I think people in general would definitely benefit from some kind of educational uh course of some sort that at least teaches you like things you shouldn't do, things that are okay, and things like that. But who sets what those are, though? Like, so that's the thing. The arbiter of that, what we would consider to be correct, like that person needs to be very particular, and unfortunately you're not going to get that most of the time.
Yeah.
So that's one problem with the idea. The other is that I think it's just, this is something that everybody kind of has to learn individually, for sure. And I think it definitely has gotten harder for guys to approach women. I don't think that is debatable. Um, Meaning, the problem with that is it's not inherently a bad thing, but the problem that comes from that is this exact thing that you just discussed: is they don't know how to talk to women because they are scared to do it until they're in a position where they're the one with power, and that is inherently a negative relationship immediately the second that it starts,
Exactly.
because they now are comfortable because they're in a position of power. That's not a good mentality to have,
Yeah.
And it's not an unnatural thing, though. It's just the way it happens, because when you don't have power, or you don't have clout, or you're not well known, or whatever, you're just some random guy, a lot of people aren't even going to give you the time of day,
Yeah.
And I think especially when we're talking about like some rando approaching a streamer who's like a female streamer and like wanting to talk to them genuinely, how do you even do that without sounding like a creep? You don't really, you're automatically entering that conversation from a position of creepiness. It's like, yeah, you're a fan, blah blah blah, but it's like, okay, why are you trying to have this conversation with me though? So I don't know. Streamer culture has become really it's become really weird, man. Because I,
Yeah.
I I do watch streamers. I've watched
Yeah.
plenty of them over the years. I think you do too. I'm on and off with it. I don't do it all the time. It's not something I constantly do, but I have been watching Asmongold a lot recently, and I'm kind of waning off of it a bit recently. But I was watching a video of his though the other day, and he was talking about Activision Blizzard, with all this stuff going on with them, because he's a WoW streamer. But he was talking about like HR departments and how HR departments work, and I'm like, what experience is this guy basing this off of? Because he's like a well-known complete like degenerate. He's never held like a real job, like
Yeah.
he's a complete like lazy ass dude, doesn't shower, like so he's like basing that off of what he heard from maybe a friend of his, or he's heard other people say in the setting of a news article or something along those lines, or some things people have said on Twitter, because he doesn't have firsthand experience with that. So it's like, why are we taking his opinion on that though seriously then? It's like, he doesn't
True.
really have a position of, but we do though. Plenty of people do. They listen to him say that, the point he was making was like HR isn't in the employee's favor, which is not an incorrect statement, necessarily. But it's like, plenty of people are going to just listen to that and be like, and just nod their head, like, regardless of what he's saying. He could say HR is there to defend you, and they'd be like, whether, regardless of that being true or not. So
So I
yeah,
think Asmongold is a great example of what I'm trying to say. So he's like a socially awkward person, right? Like a super, you can tell like if streaming wasn't there, well, I want to say that if streaming wasn't there, he would probably be doing something else, and he probably wouldn't have the clout that
I
he
don't think he would. He's openly said that like streaming basically like saved him from being a complete bum,
Okay.
like,
Okay.
because
So
yeah,
in that retrospect, right? So let's say Asmongold like meets a girl or something, like she's a huge fan or some shit like that. I don't fucking know, right? And like she's just a huge fan of him, and he doesn't talk to women that often or whatever. I don't know his real life. This is pure speculation, and this is a hypothetical. Um, that's where I get into tricky territory, because it's like and then like say like something happens, she's like, oh, he's getting accused of sexual assault and everything of that nature. And then I read the text messages or whatever, they expose everything, right? And I read it, and I'm like, oh, this guy sounds like he's just really socially awkward and he doesn't understand social cues. But then someone else can read it, right? And they're like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking pest. Like, what the fuck? Like, like, I don't know. Like, it's just an overreach when we just immediately jump to the word sexual predator. I don't fucking know.
Definitely. No, I understand what you're
But
getting
some
at.
of them are like the shit that they do. Like, there are legitimate, like, you're like, bro, you need to chill the fuck out. Like, not even chill out. Don't do that. If she says no, then just stop doing whatever. But it's like, it's case by case though. I don't fucking know, because there are certain women too But I come across some time who are just socially awkward and they say some shit and I'm like, what did you just say to me? But I'm not, I had to like step back and I had to look at the person who's talking to me and I'm like, okay, she doesn't mean it like the way she's saying it to me. And it may be some completely off the wall shit. And I'm just like, all right. So I don't know. It's just, but I see it in streamer culture and like anime culture, or not anime culture, but nerd culture a lot when these nerds get jetted up to like famousness, and then they are really popular. They have these people look up to them and everything like that, and they get in these socially awkward situations. They go to TwitchCon or they go to some kind of convention or whatever the fuck that happens, and like drinking gets involved, and then shit happens, and it's like,
yeah.
It's like, I don't know who you like, and I'm thinking about like us, right? Like, what if we got big? And it's like, you know, not you, because obviously you're married. So, like me, right? Like, like, what if I get into some situation? But I know how to handle myself in situations like that. But it's just like, that's just a scary mindset to be in. So it's like, how can we tell, or how, like, I guess, how can we as men do better as far as like stream culture and like jetting nerds up to when they get up to popularity? Like, is there even a solution for like that kind of like behavior? You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
it's not just with women, it's with like queer people and like queer nerds and everything of that nature. Like that culture happens. I mean, you remember the Smash community, like all that was like fucking wild. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of that was just a lot of, I don't want to say misconception, because they feel how they feel and they have every right to feel like how they feel. But I feel like a lot of it was just like, I don't know how to handle myself in this situation because I never been in this situation before. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. I think you're talking about things though that I think a lot of people don't want to talk about. Is that I think this is the problem with where this culture has gone. Is like, yeah, we need to call it sexual predators. We definitely need to call it sexual harassment. We absolutely do. It is a problem, but I think we got a little too trigger happy with it.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is that now it's become a thing that like we are calling awkward flirting sexual harassment, you know? And I've seen that multiple times to people, and some of these people legitimately get canceled and they're just done and they don't have a career anymore. You know, and they disappear and you never hear from them again. And I know of a few that I've known over the years as influencers that are gone. They've been gone, you know? And that is like not necessarily okay. I mean, yeah, sure. If it's like to me, it needs to be overt. It needs to be really obvious. And it's like, we all know what an obvious sexual harassment is, you know? It's like we know what that is, you know? And I mean, I'm not like, this is such a like hard conversation to talk about, because it's not okay to touch somebody, but if you like do it absentmindedly and you're not like, because I've seen that happen before. Like, women have done it to me, like at my job, you know, where they literally like I had a woman once, like I was like working on something and she like came up behind me and just started like, she like grabbed my shoulders and like kind of was like massaging them briefly. And I was like,
man, Amanda's gonna listen to this. I'm like, what the fuck?
No, I mean, I didn't really think much of it. It startled me for sure. I remember, but I like turned around and just started talking to the person, and you know, that was it. Nothing else ever happened with that person. Like, it was never it was just like an absent-minded moment. I don't think she was like actively trying to do anything. It was just like she just did that, you know, and it was like, okay, and I moved on. You know, it's like, if a guy did that, I don't think it would end that way. You know? So I don't.
But see, that's a hard subject to hit too, right? Because then there are issues where guys will act like they're like mindlessly, oh, you know, my hand slipped on your ass. Oh, you know, my hand slipped on your breast. You know what I'm saying? Like the Cuomo shit, right? Like
that's not what I'm talking about.
I know. I know that's not what you're talking about. I know that's not what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know.
But people will use that though. I know what you mean. Yeah,
that's where the slippery slope comes in from.
Yeah,
like,
I know,
and then some guys will even just use the shoulder. Like, as a way to sexually get off, like a
Right.
minor like thing. But then there are other situations like how that woman touched you. She probably was just like, oh, you probably remind me of my son or something like that. And I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because we mindlessly do that shit all the time or whatever. Like, for instance, my boss, she hugs people when she greets them. I give everybody, regardless of man, woman, how old you are, I give people handshakes. Like that's my thing in a professional setting.
Right.
She hugs and she's like, I went for a handshake and she came to hug and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just used to hugging everyone. And it's like, I'm like, whatever, bro. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, that's the way that she greets or whatever. But like,
Well,
I could have.
You could set the boundary though too. You could be like, you know what? Let's just do a handshake.
Yeah,
and that would be your cue to her that you want to do a handshake.
And I did say that.
Yeah. And if she continues to press the hugs on you, then that's where
that's where the issue.
Right. It's
I
the
think
line
the issue though. I think the issue is we sometimes have too much expectation for social cues, because like that's a good example of a good social cue, right? Like obviously I went in for the handshake and she went in for the hug. Now if I didn't let her be known that I prefer handshakes, she would probably still go for the hug,
Yeah.
But now when I see her, she goes for the handshake now.
Right. And I know we're both awkward enough people that sometimes when something's happening in the moment and you have like literally a second to decide what you want to do, you just kind of go with whatever's happening because you're like, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to piss anybody off. Oh God, I'm just going to hug you. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and it happens like, and I think that's kind of what I'm getting at, I guess, a little bit with the cause I'm the continued act of doing some of these things. Like if it happens one time, there is a line where one time can be sexual harassment, but there are certain things like if she gives you a hug and you're not into it, that's not necessarily sexual harassment. But if she keeps doing it and you told her, I don't want to hug you, then you're getting into kind of uncomfortable territory there. That's where it starts to like get into that realm. Now, if you just walk up to a woman and grab her breast, that's sexual harassment. Like there's nothing. Same thing if a woman walks up to a dude, just grabs the dick. Like that's sexual harassment. Like that's obvious and overt. I think we can all agree on that. That's kind of my point. It's
and
like
I think the rules can be applied to flirting as well, and because
yes.
that's where a lot of this sexual harassment or sexual misconduct comes from, is flirting. Mm-hmm. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
Well, I was just gonna say that like we know those overt things, and I think what I'm saying is like I think what has happened, and I said this earlier, is that we're a little trigger happy of calling things sexual harassment, where there is a line where one time is sexual harassment and like those things I just said. But there's also kind of the other side of the line where if it happens once, I wouldn't necessarily classify it as sexual harassment. Like if a dude touches your shoulder and you're a woman and he just touches it and you turn around and start talking to him and he lets the shoulder go and then never does it again, I wouldn't consider that sexual harassment, But if he does it and he keeps doing it every single time, and then eventually you're like, hey, I don't like that you're touching my shoulders, and then he keeps doing it after that, that's sexual harassment. It's like, there's, I feel like that's common sense, but I think we've lost the plot of where that line lies, I guess, is where I ultimately sit on this.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's kind of how I feel like for when like I see DMs exposed or conduct exposed, or I was doing this and they did this and I felt so uncomfortable, and it's like you have every right to feel uncomfortable. But like sometimes when I hear these things and I listen to both sides, like no one said like, hey, they told me to stop doing this. They told me to stop.
You have to voice that discomfort. I do think that is part of the process here.
And
like you can't internalize it and hope that they just get that you're uncomfortable. Like that's not going to happen,
And then in some cases they do that. And then once the guy continues, or whoever the person is continues, then it becomes an issue, or it's automatically an issue. I don't care the context if the person's underage and you're not. Like automatically, like if you're inebriated or you're underage, that there is no line, in my opinion, to be drawn. There's like, that's what it is. Like, you shouldn't be doing that with that person or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the nerds get themselves into, or a lot of these popular streamers get themselves, whether it's warranted or not, get themselves into like hot situations because they don't know social cues and things of that nature. And I mean, we talked about it all the time on the podcast about, you know, how the social awkwardness of gamers and everything of that nature, even ourselves, how we both went through dark periods in time as far as like not just being socially awkward, but like, you know, being cooped up in a room and playing the game for fucking hours because you're depressed, you're secretly depressed or some shit like that, or no one likes you, wherever the fuck the case is at that point in time. And I feel like me and you and others like us are really blessed to have gotten out of that space, because there are some people, like I see it on stream all the time. I see it with these popular streamers all the time. They have millions of views, millions of people coming to them and everything. And then they go to these Twitch cons and they just don't know how to mentally handle it, or they don't know how to handle these situations because they had never been thrusted into this situation before as a normal person. Now all of a sudden they're this big star and they just, you know, and I don't know. I see why now that like a lot of stars have like these PR teams and stuff like that kind of teach them, because I never understood it before, right? But now I understand it, like seeing these streamers who are like overnight stars, but pretty much no like executive overhead over them. They are their own people and they control their own flow of money and everything of that nature for the most part. And it's just really sad that a lot of them get themselves into this situation, that, you know, they expose the sexual the sexual predator within themselves, or they get accused of being a sexual predator and they just never had the education to kind of tell them, hey, this isn't right. And I don't know how, as a society, we navigate that stratosphere. I'm not talking when I'm talking about. I'm not talking like you said, obvious sexual offenders and obvious sexual predators and things of that nature. I'm talking about for people who are strictly like in awkward 50-50 situations or 60-40 situations, and you're like, man, I don't know. This could have went either way. You know, you know what I'm saying? But you can't say that because then everyone's like, you're victim blaming. It's like, no, I'm thinking about the situation in a rational way. I'm looking at all the cards on the table. What can we do here? You know, so I don't know. I don't know. And I just been thinking about that a lot lately. Because like I said, I saw two huge major incidents on both sides of the spectrum. One where the guy was clearly in the wrong, but he was also super socially awkward. And then the other guy where he was clearly innocent, but he was super socially awkward. So I saw both coins and I didn't like the fallout of either one of those coins, you know? So, I don't know. I think it's a discussion that needs to be taught on like a bigger platform. Obviously, we have like our 16 listeners or whatever, but I think people, like you said, this awkward conversation needs to be had in gaming because it's mainly within our stratosphere. Like, we obviously, gamers are being not forced to be more social, but they are because of cons and everything of that nature. So we're going out, we're getting out of our quote unquote, I'm just saying this as it's a joke, we're getting out of our basements, right? And we're exploring the world and stuff like that. And I think that's where that huge like wave happened in like early 2013 and stuff like that, where it was like a huge wave in the gaming media side. It was a whole bunch of sexual allegations and stuff like that. Not a lot of that, some of that was warranted. I'd say 90% of that shit was warranted because of power and everything of that nature, but 10% of it was just like, oh, that guy's just really fucking awkward. Like, yikes. He's just.
Well, I have one question for you before we end here.
Yeah.
Is there a point of return for some of these people? Like they get canceled, right?
Yeah.
And their life is fucking over, basically. Is there a way back? Like, you know, because I've seen some of these guys get canceled that it just seems like they like misinterpreted what was happening. You know,
For
they took some
situations
things
like that.
Yeah.
You keep going. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Well, yeah, they like, you know, things things were like kind of heating up and they kind of went a little faster than they probably should have, and then the
Yeah. Yep.
woman bites back and is like, I don't want this. This, um, I've seen people get exposed for doing something like that, and then they get fucking dogpiled and canceled, But is there like a road to forgiveness there, or should there be a road to forgiveness there? I guess
I'm going to take the Supreme Court case. Like, I'm not the Supreme Court case, but I've been watching like a lot of audits and stuff like that. It's just hilarious to me. But a lot of some of these cases, like protesting on the sidewalk, right? It's a case by case thing, whether it's private property or public property to the do your First Amendment rights or whatever. And I think it's a case by case basis. Like, if we can see that this dude was clearly in a friendship with somebody, or I don't want to say dude because sometimes it can happen to women and the dude be the victim or whatever. So I'm just going to say we can see this person engaged with another person, and they don't know they're in the friend zone, right? They're like, yo, we're just friends, or the other person's still trying to fill them out, and then it just moves way too fast, like you said, or something gets misconstrued, or the person's just not feeling them anymore. Like, they just, like, for whatever reason, hey, I'm not really feeling you like that anymore. I feel like those people that get caught in that situation, and the sexual misconduct happens or whatever, they can be reformed. And then there are other people who are clearly just degenerates, right? Like, you're clearly just a degenerate. They can't be reformed.
Hey, man, don't call me that.
Yeah, like, those people, unfortunately, can't be reformed, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're always going to be, like, misogynist or meandrist or whatever the case may be. And they're clearly going to be like that because they need some kind of therapy or counseling. But for the other cases where it's like, when you look at it from like a lens, and you sit back and look at it without all the mob rage and both sides in the factor and everything like that, I think those situations can be reformed. Like, yeah, it's just a really tough subject to talk about because a lot of people can get triggered by it, and it's an understandable thing to get triggered by. I just feel like it's a conversation that needs to be had, though, especially within our community, because it is open up to a lot of different genders and things of that nature. And I mean, things can get sexual real quick, in these communities. I mean, obviously,
people are horny, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I walked into a fucking orgy by mistake. That's a story for another time. But like,
two references to that in one day, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was like a Kingdom Hearts orgy at the end.
You don't need to explain it. But
anyway,
anybody listening, we'll let the mystery. You can find it actually if you want.
Yeah, I actually video recorded it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's just a really scary. It's a really scary thing because I don't want to see somebody I know get caught up in that. And then it's also really scary for people trying to defend that person because you're like, oh, you're defending a predator. And then it's also like, well, what that person that you're defending is lying about the situation. So it's just like,
but it's like, okay, let's say it happened to me, right?
Yeah.
Like you've known me for a few years now. Like, you know who I am,
Yeah.
It's like, if somebody accused me of that, like, would you instantly like turn on me and be like, oh my God, Justin, I can't believe you fucking did that, and then like, if I had a private conversation with you where I explained what happened or I explained that it wasn't true or whatever, like, it's like, that's the awkward situation that the people who know the person getting accused are in. Like, there's emotion there. Like, they likely care about the person involved in the situation. So, and I think people inherently don't want to just fucking throw a friend in the trash, So
exactly.
I don't know. We gotta have more tolerance for that. I think for sure. Like, yeah. I think being guilty by association is a really, that shit drives me absolutely fucking crazy on Twitter. So
and then that's another part of the conversation. I mean, I know we're well over, but like I saw that. I legitimately saw people like turn on their friends within the instant. And it's like, whoa. And like, well, in one case, like I said, it was warranted. And then the other case, it was totally unjustified. And like his whole community almost turned against him in the batting of eye. And it's like, and he considered a lot of these people his friends, like told him personal stuff. Like I talked to you about personal stuff. Like he told him personal stuff, and they just turned on him in a matter of instance. And yeah, they apologized, and some of them didn't, and then some of them, a lot of them did though. But it's like, how as a person can you trust anybody after that? Like that's just got to be one of the most mentally straining things I can ever, and the most emotional thing I can like have anyone go through. And that's why after seeing that, right? Because like my behavior towards the other guy who apologized and he obviously did it. Even though he obviously did it, I consider my behavior towards the situation totally like I was a degenerate because I was like bagging on him every day and all this shit like that. And then I saw this other guy, who just got utterly destroyed, and he didn't deserve it, and people just instantly turned on him. I was like, holy shit, I was one of those people. Like that made me reflect on myself. I'm like, even though the other guy was clearly in the wrong, it still like made me like, damn, maybe we need to have a discussion about this because this is some scary ass shit. And it's even susceptible to me. Like that's what was so scary about it. Like I got caught up in it, so I don't know. It just needs to be discussed.
Well, maybe there's a thought too that, I mean, these things are often revealed publicly on Twitter. And they are executed through the court of public opinion oftentimes. And there are dangers that come with that. Obviously, the court system has failed in these cases way more often than it's helped. But still, there's got to be some alternate path here, because letting random strangers determine if somebody's guilty or innocent in a specific situation is not a solution either. And oftentimes these mobs will just decide somebody's guilty with very little evidence, or with evidence indicating that they might be innocent and they'll still declare them guilty, and then they're done, dude. And once that happens, like there's almost no coming back oftentimes. And like you said, even that in that case of that dude, like where the friends apologize or whatever, it's like I would be like, I wouldn't even want to talk to any of them anymore if I were him. It's like, because like you said, how do you trust them? It's like you guys fucking turned on me on the tip of a pin. It's like,
because like, and I understand, like I'm not gonna sit here and say I understand why, but I do, right? Because it's been years, like this has been going on for hundreds of years. When I'll just say in this case for women, they've been coming forward and saying like, hey, this has happened to me, and people were like, oh, you're fucking lying, you're just trying to climb a social ladder or wherever the fuck, right? Or like, oh, this guy wouldn't do this, he's the nicest guy ever, and he clearly is doing the shit, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we've been dealing with years of that, and now we get to the point to where women have a voice, and it's like it's like, how can you have evidence on the way someone feels? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you have evidence on that shit?
You literally
exactly
can't. That's the problem with the whole thing, is that these are abstract things that we're judging people off of, So I don't know. It is what it is. I don't think there's a perfect solution. Like I really don't think there is. What I do think is, I hope that some of these things are less publicized, dealt with in a better way, I guess, is kind of what I mean. Because I just don't see, many positive outcomes coming out of it, whether it's justified or not. Dogpiling people and attacking their relatives or friends or what have you. I mean, I've seen this where somebody gets outed for something, and then random people on Twitter will just go to people that they are well-known friends with and be like, hey, have you heard about this? Have you heard about your friend? Are you still friends with this person? Like, like, oh, how could you possibly fucking defend this person? Blah, 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 blah. And people aren't even saying like, oh, I totally support him. They're just like, oh, I don't have all the facts. I need to understand what is happening here, and they'll be like, oh, you need to immediately fucking denounce him. And it's like, no, people need to understand a situation before they give an opinion on it, So I don't know. I don't. Many of these things we talk about, I don't like Twitter for these reasons. It's very easy to get very swingy in your opinion on something, where you will swing back and forth rapidly, and you shouldn't. So I don't know. Twitter's not the place for this discourse. Definitely isn't. That's I strongly feel that way. But we will continue to have these discussions there, though, because that's where people can be the loudest. So it is what it is. But
this is two dudes' perspectives, but
yeah, we're done. True. We've been going for a while. Let's call it there. All right, everybody. If you stuck around, we really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. If you like the show, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you are listening to it on. And please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with either of us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrapForTheHokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can send one on Twitter, or you can email us at theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that's it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.